Hey guys, um, I just recorded like a 20-minute video and it got deleted because my computer is having like these weird issues right now. But it's all good. I'm a little pissed off, but it's all good. It was literally 3 seconds ago. Like I realized it and then I clicked record again just now. So anyway, anyway, here's what the video is about. Basically, right now I was reading The Way of the Superior Man for like the third time. Way of the Superior Man. And I reached a chapter that's titled Never Change Your Mind Just to Please Your Woman, or just to please a woman. Here's what the page says. If a woman suggests something that changes a man's perspective, then he should make a new decision based on his new perspective. But he should never betray his own deepest knowledge and intuition in order to please his woman or go along with her. Both she and he will be weakened by such an action. They will grow to resent each other, and the crust of accumulated inauthenticity will burden their love as well as their capacity for free action. You should always listen to your woman, and then make your own decision. If you choose to go with your woman's suggestion, even when deep in your heart you feel that another decision is more wise, you are in effect saying, I don't trust my own wisdom. You are weakening yourself by telling yourself this. You are weakening your woman's trust in you. Why should she trust your wisdom if you don't? When you deny your deep truth to please your woman, everyone will feel your lack of authenticity. They will sense that your false smile hides an inner division. Your friends, children, and business colleagues may love you, but they won't trust you, since you don't trust your own core intent. And more importantly, your own sense of inauthenticity will burden your capacity to act with clarity. Your actions won't jive with your core. So, to just kind of summarize what he said, don't change your mind in order to please a woman who you're with or who you're trying to pursue or seduce, because how will she trust you if you don't even trust your own wisdom? How how much lack of authenticity does that convey if you're willing to change your mind just to please somebody? I mean, what's that saying about you? Okay? And not only will your woman will be weakened by this, but you will be weakened by this, and your friends won't even trust you as much anymore because they will feel your lack of authenticity. So listen to your woman with an open heart and mind. Be ready to change your perspective if what she says makes more sense than what your current perspective is. However, if your deepest perspective, if your deepest knowledge, wisdom, and intuition go against what she's saying, then don't change your mind. Just don't fucking change your mind. Doesn't matter if you lose her. Doesn't matter if just don't change who you are. This is who you are. If this is who you are from your deepest core, then live from that shit. Because that's how you'll develop the most effective, or better yet, the deepest, awesomest relationships with other people, with yourself, with the world. And how does that correlate with my story? Well, the other day, I went to a supermarket and I happened to notice a beautiful young lady. Yeah, went up to her and got her number. She was an actress, and I was really hoping that things would work out with her. I was very attracted to her. So a few days later, she told me she was free. All right, cool. Set up a date, and I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna be more important later on in the story. The day before the date, I had a really unproductive day where I felt kind of miserable and weak and just I wasn't taking action. And I get those kinds of days every once in a while where you feel like shit, you just don't know why. So that was the day before the date. the day of the day, this is also important, I worked a lot on my computer. Okay, I did my work, I read a lot, I did a lot of shit that required me to be in my brain, in my mental spot. And those two factors, A, having a really kind of miserable day, negativity, and B, um, reading a lot, being in your head all day, creates a mix in me where basically I'm just in my head all day and I have a bit of a negative influence. Not a negative influence on others, but I mean, I'm not very positive and outgoing. I'm a bit more low energy and just not all my thoughts are positive and stuff. So, and when I'm in that state of being in my head from like working all day or whatever, I feel a little bit weird. I don't feel in touch with my body. I don't feel in touch with others as well. Um, I feel like super like logical, kind of like a computer, not in touch with my emotions too much. And anyway, we met up at like 6:30 or so, and we go and sit in the park, and we're having a conversation. It's going pretty well. I told her actually that I was in my head, and like I told her what I told you guys, that I wasn't in my most lively state, and that I felt a bit weird because I was being honest. Like I'm not gonna lie and pretend I'm not something I am, right? Or that I'm not, or whatever. Anyway, yeah. So we're talking. She's not the most positive girl, although that's not really a prerequisite for me by any means, really. Um, and we were having like a very brainy conversation, super intellectual, science, spirituality, stuff like that. Um, I was trying to like blow her mind a little bit with the little willpower I had left that day. And then I was like, hey, let's go to Barnes and Nobles. Like Barnes and Nobles is a pretty fun place for me to hang out and stuff. And whatever, we go there, and we're looking at books, and fuck, gotta stop saying we're looking at books, and we're in the self-development, like wisdom, whatever, philosophy section. And I happened to notice a few books I read, and I said, hey, look at this, look at that, this is what I read, this is what I read. And then we come across this book called Iron John. I'm reading right now, and I was like, oh, I love this book. It's really interesting. It's about like how a boy becomes a man and all the stages he goes through, and it talks about like ancient wisdom and what the tribes used to do and this and that. And then I went on to say that one of the reasons I'm reading these books is because it's harder for men to be truly masculine, like truly men these days, and because in today's society. And then before I could finish the sentence, she cut me off by saying, "Oh yeah, men have it so hard nowadays. Yeah, and she was being sarcastic and belittling what I just said by saying, "Oh men, poor men, right? Poor men." And then that's when I was like, "Let me guess, you're a feminist?" And she said, "What would happen if I said yeah?" Like trying to provoke me a bit. And I said, "Well, I don't really like feminism. I'm not like a huge like super feminist dude or something." And she got kind of like emotional at that point. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're not a feminist? You don't agree with mainstream feminism views that are constantly being conditioned and projected to us through mainstream media and sitcoms and all this shit constantly every day? You don't agree with that? She didn't say all that part, but she's like, what? You don't agree? And I said, well, I don't agree with all of it. What's feminism anyway? To define it, it's basically uh, equality in terms of social position, social roles, political roles, etc., between men and women. And I do agree that women should have their own rights in regards to that. However, I was telling her this. One of the things I don't agree with is that feminism doesn't take into account a lot of times the fundamental instinctive differences between masculinity and femininity. Feminism, it seems, or at least mainstream feminism, tries to um, define masculinity and femininity as purely social constructs that hold no ground in our biological realities, in our instinctive realities. They're purely social constructs that were just built through behavior, and that's it. Like just through social shit. And then I went on to say that I don't agree that, for instance, a loving and nurturing woman, realize how ridiculous this sounds. A loving and nurturing, or should be that, uh, woman, I don't agree that she should lead men into warfare, for instance. I just don't think a woman should be like a general, for example, because war is a very masculine thing, and violence and all that kind of stuff is just not something that females are bred for as well as men are. And I don't agree that, like Hillary Clinton, for instance, should be a general leading millions of troops into warfare. And when I said that, she got extremely offended, extremely emotional, extremely. I could just see it bubbling up in her head. And she started saying how ridiculous that was, and how it's the 21st century, and that all this shit's a social construct. And I just don't agree. And I know I'm ranting here now. That females are females simply because of social construct. Like I don't think the only difference between men and women are the fact that one has a fucking dick and the other one has a vagina. Sorry. I think that femininity and masculinity are actual way deeper attributes, and none of them are more superior than the other. Each of them have their own strengths, weaknesses, and all that. So in a sense, I do believe we're different, but we're not equal in the same exact ways. That would be ridiculous to live in a world where everybody's just the same. Fuck that. We're complementary opposites. And but the thing is, she wouldn't let me really like explain all that because basically after I said the first comment, which was I don't believe that a woman should be able to lead men into war, she started saying that it was ridiculous, that basically I'm sexist. Um, she also started saying that feminism is really good because guys are being taught to rape and kill women. She says men are raping and killing women and they're being taught that it's okay. And that's when I was like, what the fuck? Where did you hear that? I mean, I'm pretty sure feminism talks a lot about that because that's the primary fear, I guess. And I don't know. I'm not an expert when it comes to this subject, but yeah. So realize now why I said it was in my head because we're having this debate. Um, but I didn't back down. I didn't want to back down from my point of view because I didn't agree with it. My deepest wisdom just did not fucking go along with that. And it didn't matter how many times she called it ridiculous or whatever, but I stayed grounded. Yet I was open to what she was saying. And that's when I realized that the date was probably going to go south from there. I mean, it just was. Like, she obviously was in her head now. She wasn't calm and relaxed and able to be seduced anymore. At least to me. I'm not like Don Juan. I can't seduce women in the midst of fury. So she started saying, like, I don't even know why I'm not walking away right now because of how ridiculous you sound. And I said, look, we're having an emotional conversation now. It's no longer rational and logical anymore. And then she started saying, what do you mean emotional, blah, blah. And basically she was being emotional. And she eventually just didn't really let me speak. But she was like, I'm getting so stressed out right now. Like, I guess I activated a pain body in her. She really had a deep emotional kind of anger when people mention that subject. And She's like, I have to go. Like, I'm gonna just walk away right now. Like, and I tried holding her back for a second. I said, hey, like, come on, just chill for a second. No, she wouldn't have it. She wanted to walk away. So she walked away, and she was still babbling or some shit. And at that point, I already kind of threw her out of my mind. Although I was disappointed, frustrated, I just walked away. Um, Delete that contact. But after the few minutes of frustration I felt, because I did feel frustrated. I mean, I didn't want to have this debate with a girl I was trying to seduce. Um, I felt pretty fucking amazing a few minutes later because I realized that, or basically, I felt more grounded in who I was. I felt more like I trusted my own wisdom more, and I felt more manly, more able to be authentic, which is a great feeling to have as a man. And I think is one of the main things that you should focus on as a man is being authentic and being who you are, no matter how pretty the woman you're trying to seduce, and not trying to change for her, because this is not only weakening you, but it's weakening her. Like David Data says, how is she going to trust your wisdom if you don't even trust your wisdom? You know, it's making her this thing that you can just go along with. That's bullshit. Stick to your fucking guns if you're a man. Listen to your woman with an open heart and mind, and if her perspective truly changes yours, then good. However, if it doesn't, don't don't go along with it, because that's just being a weak little bitch, and your friends will feel it, your woman will feel it, your coworkers, your children, your everyone will feel it. They won't trust you more. They won't trust you as much. And after that, I got a few girls' numbers, like right after, and they were responding to me with more respect. And I set up some dates after that as well, same day. But I was coming from a more grounded perspective now, a more grounded point of view, and it was interesting to see how the woman after that responded to me with more respect and admiration in a way, which was cool. It's a it's definitely something that I'm working on, being more authentic, being more grounded, and every single day that's what I do is I try to maintain growth in those areas. So here's the wisdom, guys. No matter who the woman you are with, you're trying to seduce, be yourself. This does not mean start debating with every girl you're with. Uh, Keep things lighthearted and playful. But if you do get into a point where even she asks you, something trivial that you may not agree with, then don't change your mind just to suit her perspective, because that's being inauthentic, my friends. And as a man, your goal should be authenticity. And as a woman, she will fucking appreciate it. Because no woman wants a guy who's lying to himself and lying to her about who he is. Picture yourself as a woman. Would you want a guy like that? Would you want a guy like you who lies about his true feelings in regards to a subject? Stay grounded, stay authentic, and your entourage, your woman, everyone will feel it a lot more. Stay hungry, my friends. I guess, hope this helps. Till next time.